plural. I will explain my absence over the last few days in just a moment. I'm not going to do a long one tonight because I'm still quite ill. And I will explain that also, because the one thing that we have, as we've gotten to know each other and built this community over the last couple of years, the one thing that I have said to you previously on many occasions is I am doing things for my integrity so that you know, like, and trust. That's what this is about. So when I tell you things, I'm hoping that this community go, okay, well, he's been right about that. So he must be right about this. And initially I started about my being on the radio for 40 odd years and doing late night phone-ins, lunchtime phone-ins. That's my career path. So everything that I say this evening will be measured, will be considered. I may get a little angry, which is not great, but also I'm quite poorly. Nurse Ratchet, otherwise known as the new Mrs. Allen, has been trying to get me to go to A&E for 4 days, 5 days, Friday to Wednesday. And I've steadfastly said, no, you can book it off. People die in hospital. So I went to see the doctor yesterday. The doctor's like, all right, okay. Basically, my diabetes has flared up, like majorly flared up, like heart attack, stroke flared up. And so Nurse Ratchet and I and the doctor are working together to get me into a place, a healthy place. And that's going to come from slight lifestyle tweaks, the food. Look, in 2016, I was diagnosed as type 2 diabetic. And my then GP said, oh, you're type 2 diabetic. Your blood sugars are too high. Basically, I'd choked. I'd eaten some food at a meeting in London, and it had kind of, my esophagus had closed up. So got back up to the northeast, blew light to A&E, kept me in overnight, and the doctor at A&E said, right, take that to your GP. Got there, he said, oh, blimey, your blood sugars are, well, they're almost off the chart, Mr. Allen. So you're type 2, I'm going to give you the metformin. And I was like, no, I'm not taking any medication. I'd be in shite, man. I'll sort this out myself. And he said, what do you mean? He said, I'm not letting you leave here without metformin because you are months away from either a heart attack or a stroke. And I'm sure there are type 2 diabetics in the body of the Kirk this evening that have had that same conversation. And I said to him, no. Are you aware of the Newcastle diet? And the doctor said, they don't do nutrition doctors. They just know of how to make money. And he said, no. I said, well, there's a Professor Roy Taylor who's the game changer. He's ahead of everybody else. And the Newcastle diet is 800 calories a day. So here's a bit of information. The chocolate bar that you eat today, the sugars stay in your blood for 90 days. So to get rid of all of that, you've got to do a special diet, which I did. 800 calories. It was tough. I did exercise. And at one point, about halfway through, about 6 or 7 weeks through this new diet and regime, I honestly thought I was going to die. I was living on my own. It was tough. So the situation that I find myself in this week is very similar. I know what to do. I know how to do it. I'm working with my doctor, who was absolutely fantastic. But I said to her, I'm not taking any medication because that medication can fuck you up. I mean, if you've taken metformin, you know exactly what you're doing. Yeah, how quickly did you get the shits? Embarrassing. Correct. So, so I've been in bed for since Sunday. That's why there was no live Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And the optics of me at this moment in time not doing any lives was skewed a certain way. And I thought, I can't leave it this week without doing something. So tonight it will be shorter. It will still be punchy. It's not the right analogy to use. It'll be direct. It'll be assertive and direct, as ever, being the ranty rev. I do have my hibiscus. I can't have any Jaeger bombs. Alcohol's completely off the menu. I mean, how dull is my life going to be? I've got to stay off the alcohol. Literally can't have any. Bastards. So thank you to Stuart, who's been keeping me going with Jaeger bombs for months and months and months and months. I'm going to have to lay off them for 90 days or so. Then I'll be back on them. So tonight, that's a longer explanation that I wanted to give, but that's where I'm at with things. And I left the decision to do this particular live until really late in the day today, because my energy's not great, and the antibiotics are giving me a right rattling. I'm on thousands of milligrams dosage per day, but I've got to take the medicine because I had too many Jaeger bombs, too many beers in hot weather, and too much chocolate. So it's got to be more measured. But welcome to the Body of the Kirk. Next live this coming Sunday, because hopefully all the medicines will have gone, and I'll still be on me feet, and it should be okay. But the reason why I stalled over whether to do this live tonight, and it needs to be done, is my head's a bit spacey from the meds. So I could end up Arthur or Martha. I could be anywhere, anything. But I need to be quite measured in some of the things that I'm going to say tonight, or address, shall we say. So let's get to some of your comments. We'll get to the parish notes. Where are we? Okay, all right, okay, we're getting there. Lovely. So to the regulars and those that come into the Body of the Kirk early, you now know why I've not been here. And I appreciated everyone's very kind words. And normally I would have a shave for a live, but I'm just shagged. Less of that, more of you. So Les says, watching the Ginger Prowler's first two podcasts, I think I can confidently predict it won't be long before he is back in the clink. He seems to have learned nothing. I will say this. Your comments are your comments. They're your opinions. And other people will use Article 10 of the European Convention for Human Rights. So I'm not going to edit or audit anybody's comments this evening. You can talk about anything that you want. That's why we have such a community on this channel, because we allow people to say the important things, and we have important conversations, whether it's recreational gear or whether it's murder on the streets of Birmingham, and other important adult conversations that we need to have. And ordinarily we would have these conversations as part of a phone-in. But I will endeavour to read your comments out. Jesus, that's at the start. Stuart says, evening, Rev. Evening, Stuart. You're wrong. I hope you're feeling better. If you're wondering where the choir boys are, they're cleaning up the beer garden after Sister Mary's cocktail parties. Sister Mary, what a tart. Was it Sister Mary and the nuns from the cucumber patch? Or what do you mean by cocktail party, Stuart? Les Griffith says, Sister Mary's tattoos are very revealing. Oh, go on, Les. Go on. The Ooh Bovril. Good to see you in the Body of the Kirk. Les and Stuart and the Ooh Bovril. Evening all. What's on the menu tonight, Rev? Well, we're going to talk about poor Keir Starmer. It's just a public flogging. We're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about shit Glastonbury. I think they've done this year as a joke, because it's utter shite. And if I'd paid hundreds of pounds for it, in my view, I would literally be banging my head off a brick wall. So there's that. We've got the dealies. This bespectacled arse. He's not in the country. So Ginger Growler took charge today. Oh, I bet there's some people would like that, including Frank Broff. Jesus, can't even speak. Frank Boff. Humiliating threat to Starmer's authority. The PM stunned by revolt on flagship benefit cuts as more than 120 Labour MPs vow to sink the bill. Well, they have to, don't they? Labour in trouble. They are in trouble. I mean, there's poor, what's-her-face? Or the newsreader. Can I get away with this? Hang on, I haven't mentioned anybody. So I'm aware of a newsreader. No, I'm not going to tell you whether it's male or female. No, you can't see my lips move. And this particular newsreader was having a bit of a song and a dance with another TV presenter, children's TV presenter. And the children's TV presenter was then seeing a current pop rock star-ish, obviously driving around in fast cars. And I will tell you who it was. It was Chris Hill. Can you remember Chris Hill, the DJ? And he lived in this area. And he told me, he said, yeah, I was watching so-and-so's house, and the removal firms turned up. And he said, I saw all this stuff come out. And then I saw another removal firm turn up and all the stuff go in. Ménage à trois. So if you see anything in any of the newspapers soon or today or... not going any further. I'm not giving the secrets away. It's a great story, though. It is a great story. That's an alarm for me medicine. Bloody hell, Adrian. Yeah, I've got to put alarms on, otherwise I'll forget, and painkillers and everything else that I've got to do. Andrew James says, "Oh, tonight's menu is sushi laid on top of TBT. Oh, I say, is the tower block Tracy in the body of the Kirk this evening? She was the last one. When was the last one? Was that last Wednesday? Massive high street fashion store is going under, seemingly according to the BBC. Neil Cunningham says, oh, evening all. I watched the convicted stalker's doggy latest video. Few observations. One, he thinks he's a comedian, and he's not. You're welcome to your view, Neil. Two, he thinks he's a radio phone-in host, and he's not, according to Neil. And three, he thinks he's relevant, and he's not, says Neil. Thank you for that, Neil. Always good to have you in the body of the cook. Lauren Taylor says, evening all the wrong-uns and the holier types. Hope all is well, Adrian, and you are feeling better. It's just interesting times. Lauren, thank you for your very kind words. It is very interesting times. Garen Davis, oh, look, I've made it. I'm guessing there's lots to talk about. Oh, we can talk about anything you want, Garen. I am thinking maybe an hour, just see how my energy levels go tonight. Because, you know, when I'm ranting and I'm going at it, you need mental clarity and you need physical... is it assiduity? Is that a good word? I'll do my best for you, as always, because I've predicted stuff, and I know you watch regularly. If there's any newbies in the body of the Kirk this evening, I'm going to tell you what's going on in Israel, in Iran, and Ukraine, and Russia, and in this country. Just be patient. I will get to it in 5 minutes or so. But the regulars know all about the 7 central banks that I've been bashing on about for 2.5 years. Nobody believed me. Oh, it's the ranting Rev. He's mad. He's mad. And then, oh, bugger me, they've got Iran's central bank. So we'll get to that in a second. So Syria's down. Iran's down. 5 left. It's not going to be long. They'll have other wars, Venezuela and Hungary. So I'll lay it out for you as if you're a 5-year-old in just a little while. Stuart Telez watched them as well, and I agree. You can tell by the tone of his voice in a particular video today that he's angry. He's full of piss and vinegar, as far as I'm concerned. My wise advice as an older man to anybody that has succumbed to this particular kind of trauma is this. Take your time and realise that you need support and help, not those around you that are making money off your back. So anybody making money from you, you know who I'm talking to. If they're making money from you, ditch them. You make the money for you, however you see fit, but you're probably going to have to get a proper job. And I say this with love. Timpson's have got openings. Andrew James, he's back on the grift, going behind a paywall. Has someone told him about Twitch, Rumble or Odyssey? Rumble's a bit shite, though, Andrew. I'm on there, and I gave up. I don't even know what Odyssey and Twitch is. I am sure the crypto Odyssey pay will come in handy for the convicted stalker. Doggy! Evening all. Hope you're on the mend. AA, thank you, Kaz. Yes, thank you very much. And thank you to everyone that's been emailing me in the background about stuff and with stuff and all of the stuff that's going on in the world. I really appreciate it. I have read them. I just a bit of overwhelm. I haven't had a chance to reply to literally thousands of emails. Good to see you in the body of the Kirk Cat. Andrew James, that's the first time I've watched him, says Neil. And the last, if he wants to be relevant, he needs to be interesting. His video bored the fillings out of my teeth. Wow, Neil. Les Griffiths, Alex, the convicted stalker, is treading on thin ice. What scares me is the adoration of his followers. They act like he is some sort of messiah. He's not. He's a disturbed individual. He's a very naughty boy. He's been in jail for it. Because there are lots of things that a pathological liar, and I can say that because A, it's my opinion, B, it's factual. In both high court cases where he was taken to the high court for defamation, he admitted lying. This is in the high court. This is in front of the judge. He lied in Jeremy Vine's case against him for defamation and DC Janet Percival's case against him for defamation. So the police will view that if there's something called a course of conduct in policing and law, and if someone has done like two events, for want of a better word, then that's a course of conduct. If it's a course of conduct, it means that they view you as that. So I can call him a liar. He's self-confessed liar. He self-confessed in 2 defamation cases. I mean, it's not as if I'm making shit up. It's not as if all of the things that I've talked about over the last 2.5 years in relation to the convicted stalker, the Jimmy Savile of trolling. I know I don't watch his channel. I don't watch anything that he does. But for some really insane, bizarre reason, he blocked me on X today. So I get an alert in the background from Control-Alt-Delete, who I think is a regular on the channel, on the live, certainly in the early days. And I didn't know what it was in relation to. It was just like a emoji, one of them emojis. And I thought, oh, that's really odd. What's going on? So I went to find the wherever Control-Alt-Delete had posted this, and I couldn't find it. Celebrity Radio has blocked you. And I thought, I don't understand this. I've not been on his X profile. I've not been on his YouTube profile. I'm definitely not going on his website. Because what's the point of me doing that? I've got everybody else that can tell me all the information that I need because I trust the people that are on this channel. And or the only reasoning I can attach to that is he's paranoid. Now, I will treat that statement with a little gentleness because anybody that's done 2.5 years in jail, and remember this, there was a jury of people, his peers, that listened to all the evidence in a court of law over 5 weeks, and they found him guilty times 4. So it doesn't matter how he's trying to rebrand himself when he comes out of jail, if that is what he is doing. He was found guilty times 4, and then sentenced appropriately. So you can either have consecutive or concurrent. And he got consecutive, not concurrent. Most people get concurrent. But I think he may have, and again, this is just my view, he might have just pissed the judge off. Because he arrived in court without a barrister, without any legal representation, and the judge says, where's your legal team? I haven't got one. And he's suggesting that all the money that he had, he's used on legal representation. He didn't have any. So I really, look, as I prefaced all of this, he's a liar. I can say that because of how he lied in the High Court. So I don't know where the truth is with the convicted stalker, the Jimmy Savile of trolling. I don't know where the truth is. Now, ordinarily, the man and woman on the street would look at the hole that they're in and would try and just tell the truth. So I understand, I haven't watched it, but I have been sent a clip. I understand that he didn't mention me, but he mentioned me. I will say this. That's not a great look. Because I've got all the emails. I've got the proof. that no, the last time that you spoke to me, his words, when you were 20. I think that is utter bullshit. Lies, 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 lies. Because I've got the emails, I've got the reference, I've got even some of my accounts going back where we went out to the cinema and Mr. Mann's after 2000. So what I'm saying to you is, in my view, because I have all the evidence to prove that he and I were friends later than 2020. Now, I was still at Century 106 in the August of 2020. And maybe I feel sorry in certain elements for the guy because he's been inside for 2.5 years. But what is hanging over his head is another 3. He's got license conditions and he can't breach those. If he does, it's a straight recall. It depends on the gravity of the breach. But don't come out and start doing what you did before you went in and were found guilty of in a court of law in Nottingham. So the reason I'm saying this is somebody somehow needs, I understand. I just understand him more than he realizes. There's a lot to come out. I mean, he has out in the trial to try and get less of a sentence, but that's not going to get you less of a sentence when you've been found guilty by a jury times 4, and then the judge that you've pissed off. I mean, it just defies any understanding. So you can't come out and then start telling lies again, because I can't remember the Latin term in law, but it means if one thing's wrong, it's all wrong. And I've just proven to you, because I have the emails. I have emails and contact all the way up to 2013. And I refused to have any contact with him when I worked out what he'd been doing to me. 2020. So there's 13 years of correspondence and contact and meals and cinema. I mean, we normally went and watched cartoons like Toy Story or something. It wasn't like deep and meaningful. It was just funny. But it was just a couple of guys, friends, and that's what I was going to say. In August of 2020, I kind of did a Dave Lee Travis. I was sick and tired of, I was being fed information by the convicted stalker, the Jimmy Savile of Trolling. And on reflection, I don't believe that information was true. But I was being told that there was one person in the radio station that I was working for that was sexually harassing another person in that radio station. Now, one of those people is still a dear friend of mine and watches the channel. And I've had conversations with him. And it wasn't true. But I was being fed something. And I was the man in the radio station. I was the star of that radio station. And even the managing director. So I 5 minutes before the end, I just said, oh, I've had enough. Played me theme and walked out of the radio station. Because, for certain reasons, which I won't go into now. There's no need to go into it. But the convicted stalker, the Jimmy Savile of Trolling, came running out of the radio station after me. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? I said, I'm going home. What do you think I'm doing? And the managing director was on a course down south somewhere, because at the time, Capital owned us. And within half an hour of me leaving the radio station, there was a phone call from the MD. What's going on? I said, I've had enough. Had enough. She said, look, don't do anything. I'll come over to yours on Monday. I'm on a course, and I've got commitments all weekend, but I'll come over to yours on Monday and we'll talk about it. I said, yeah, sure. So we did talk about it, and I told her about it. And I got very handsomely paid off by the radio station. There was no NDA. I didn't have to sign something. So in one sense, he is correct. As radio colleagues, we've not worked together since August 2020. But the lie, because in every good lie, there's a kernel of truth. So there's the kernel of truth for you. Technically, at Century 106, he was my phone op through the glass for the lunchtime phone-in. And on the day I walked out, he was that phone-in. He was that phone op. So technically, if he'd used his words more cleverly, and I can understand being in jail for 2.5 years and the trauma that brings you, he's not really accurate. So in my view, I can call him a liar as much as I want, because he's a self-confessed liar. And don't believe things that he's telling you. I've just given you the truth. And in between 2020, so in August 2020, I walked out of Century 106, literally within the week, via Scotty McClue. I got a call from Scotty saying, what's going on? I said, I've had enough, Scotty, man. And I told him. And he said, give Myers a call. That's John Myers, or John Morgan, as listeners would know him. Wonderful guy. Him and Simo, that's not his real name. I got a phone call. Team, what are you doing? I said, looking for a job, John. He said, come and see us. Come and see us. We're launching in South Wales. Come and see us. So I went down, had dinner with him and Simo. And Myers was a hell of a character, as is Simo. And I've always known Myers as Chunky, because I knew John from, God blimey, 83. He was a voiceover guy that used to come into Radio Tees to do the voiceovers, and Simo was the breakfast show guy. John Simons, as he was on air, he was the breakfast show presenter when I got into the radio station. So the two Johns I've known, God blimey, since God was a boy. So I then went and see them in South Wales, and they went, "Oh man, why didn't you say?" I said, "What do you mean? Why didn't I say? I thought I was going to stay there for ages." "Oh man, will you come and work for us, man?" I was like, "All right." Cough. How much? We worked it out, and he said, "Look, I've got a guy called Umberto that's going to do the phone-in, but we'll work it out. Umberto's a lovely guy. I don't even know whether he's still around or not." And they took me down there to do the phone-in, and I did like an hour or so at the beginning, and then Umberto took over and did 2 hours till 1 o'clock. But the stats went through the roof when I did the phone-in. So technically, the convicted stalker and I worked together at Century 106 until August 2020. I left and then joined Real Radio in South Wales in September, and then we launched the radio station in the October of 2020. And I stayed there for a couple of years. So technically that is correct. But not to have spoken to me. He was on the bloody phone every day. Let me tell you about, and look at his CV, because this will be on his CV. Remember Scarlet FM? Yeah, exactly. Because he rang me and said, "Oh, what's it like? I've been..." Now, one of his victims in the court case, I won't identify them, did a good thing and put a good word in for him to get this job at Scarlet FM. And I think that might have been 2001 or 2002. I was still... No, it must have been 2002, because I'd left Real Radio and was off down to LBC in London by this point. It'd have been 2001. So he rang me. What should I do? What should I do? I said, "Oh, the Welsh are fabulous, man. Just go and have a good time." And he got to Scarlet FM, and I'll sort of paraphrase everything, because he will corroborate this. Because this story I would not have known unless we were still in contact. And I'll give you other stories to show you that we were in contact. So in his comeback video, he lied to you. So I will allow him the grace to be able to put that right. Scarlet FM. He goes there. He's doing his do. He's doing his thing, and it was a very camp radio station. That's all I'm going to say. And they were absolutely merciless with the convicted stalker. They were merciless. and he rented a house, and he was putting his home together. He didn't stay there very long, and he was just being metaphorically beaten mercilessly from, you know, the chitter chatter in the background, the other DJs or presenters, and I'm sure I've got this right. There was some dogging site that a load of the presenters used in Wales. So the convicted stalker went on air and just let the whole story out. I think it even made the local press. Oh, you can't imagine how angry they were. And, you know, I felt really sorry for him, because we went to Mr. Mann's, which is I hope still a Chinese in Nottingham, that we frequented regularly. And in fact, my mate Beryl, who's one of the world's greatest psychics, I brought her down from Southport to Nottingham to have a dinner with Alex. This must have been 2002. He was really struggling. And as I say, his hair was falling out, literally onto the table that we were sat at. And it was all because of the stress from these people at Scarlet FM. He took them to, I think, a tribunal and won. So I think that's maybe where he thinks he can, you know, represent himself, and it's fine to do whatever he wants to do. But I genuinely felt sorry for the guy, because he was struggling. He was being bullied and harassed by these people in this radio station, and that's why he got the payoff eventually. But I'm using that story just to give you an example that was beyond 2020. And I've got others. So I'm not going to sit here on YouTube going tit for tat. I'm not. He can do whatever he wants. But just remember, I've got all the receipts. I've got all the emails. And I can prove that you lied. So don't tug the tiger's tail. And the other thing is, for anybody that needs any insight, if you believe that this channel, 2000, sorry, yes, I'll put that down to the medication. It was 2000, the year 2000, not 2020. So I will give you some insight into how the law works. There is criminal and there is civil. And anyone that this channel is Jesus, I've forgotten the this is the medication. Fucking hell. Social commentary. So this channel is a social commentary channel. So because of, I've not broached any of YouTube's community guidelines. I haven't. So I can make videos how I see fit within the community guidelines advice from YouTube. So I can make videos about anything that I want. I mean, look at some of the stuff. I've told you about Ben Gurion Canal and all the stuff that's going on in Israel. I've told you about the World War, and it's not going to happen. I told you in December last year that 2025 was going to be the year of the PSYOP, the false flag event. So as a social commentary channel, I can talk about anything if I see fit. And what I've done is I've remained within the bounds of legality in this country, and I've also remained within YouTube's community guidelines. And it's taken me, 2.5 years to learn that. This is not an easy gig. Radio's easy for me. Stick me on the radio in front of 1 million people and let me do a phone in, and I'll entertain you. So I've slowly, with the little team that I have, and I'm ever indebted to them, I've tried to stay within the bounds of respectability. And as I said right at the beginning of this live tonight, what I've worked on is my integrity. I've made sure trust is imperative doing this job. And I've gained your trust over the last 2.5 years by repeatedly saying things that have turned out to be true, so that you know if you're a regular. And there's some people are saying, oh, you're only doing these videos because, well, actually, if people came to my other videos, and this is live 187, Ordinarily, I do 2.5 hours on a live, non-stop. Like almost like a 3-hour phone-in, almost. But all I'm going to say is this. I've worked tirelessly and, in essence, on YouTube, broadcast hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of unrelated stuff to a convicted stalker, the Jimmy Savile of trolling. I've talked about everything that matters, whether it be the jibber jabber, and I'm sure there are people on here that are new tonight that actually took the jab. I didn't, because I'm not so fucking stupid. And there are all these people, and I feel for them. I'm not judging anyone. But the people that are ordinarily here for my community are intelligent people who see through the bullshit and see through the lies. And that's what I've worked on for 2.5 years. In fact, I would say that's what I've worked on for 40 years of my commercial radio experience. And that's why wherever I've gone in the country, the South Walians loved the show, loved it. Why? Because they knew I was straight up and down. I don't tell lies. Because ultimately, if you tell the truth, people will respect that. Even if they don't like the truth that you're telling them, they'll still respect it. Liars get found out easily. And that's why I put the record straight this evening. It's easy. When you know it's the truth, it's easy to say it. Because it's the truth. If you're ducking and diving around lies and being very circumspect with the truth, so I will say this again. As an older man that, I haven't even gone into my upbringing, my background. Council estate in Sunderland is not easy, was never easy, and I've seen some horrible stuff. One of my mates had both of his arms chopped off with a machete in a drug deal gone wrong. Not council estates. I don't need to say any more. And I bring that wisdom. And I've had loads of friends. I've had family members go to jail. And I've asked them, what's it like? So I in one hand, I think this is a case of self-sabotage. A psychologist may use it. It's self-sabotaging. And I feel really sorry for him. Because if he still comes out and is full of piss and vinegar and anger, it's only going to end up one way. Jail's not easy. It's not. Call it a cruise if you want. Depends what kind of cruising you're doing. So, let's get to, blimey, let's get to some of these. Hang on, let's do this. Sorry. Wow, Usworth Colliery in Washington. Washington! Terry. Okay, now that's not far from Usworth Colliery. It's not far from Bolden Colliery, where I grew up from being 3.5. Nuts and bolts is actually very fair. He says the convicted stalker has blind spots. Katie ought to point him in the right direction of a therapist. He has, I believe, he has a real aversion to authority, and he would just see a therapist as authority trying to get him. But he needs help and support. Not his grandiosity feeding. But I genuinely worry for the guy. And this is as a former friend. And I've told you the story before. When he was 17, he came in to do the phones at Century 106. And it must have been, so if that was 2000, it must have been 1999. And the managing director, who I can get on here to corroborate this because he would, he came to me and he said, look, we're looking at getting you some different phone ops. What do you think of the young Belfield boy? And I said, well, he's the best out of what we got. I would rather you kept him and got rid of the rest. Are you sure? I was going to sack him. Oh, no, leave him be. Just let him. And he kept his job. And if I hadn't supported him in him keeping his job, who knows where his career might have gone. But it's a sadness, because I don't want any human being to suffer. I don't want to watch any human being suffering. I don't want to see anybody that's so angry they may self-sabotage what they have. And look, he's had a lot of money go through his hands via wherever it may be, the Lamley or donations or, the live shows that he's done. He's had life-changing money go through his hands. But I know that the money that's in champagne sippers will have dwindled quite a bit. It's not lawfare. So again, the Jeremy Vine case. He admitted to lying. He said to the judge via his barrister, I admit that I lied. And so he lied about Jeremy Vine. It was a shoe-in case for Jeremy. And it was a shoe-in case for the DC from Nottinghamshire Police, who's now retired. Because it came out of his gob, and he had opportunities to not say anything, to either retract it on YouTube, but then he went through the videos and just wouldn't. Hang on, what's that? Hang on a second. Interesting take. Les Griffith says, I don't think anyone wishes Alex any harm. They just wish he would fuck off. He's got as much right, though. But he's got as much right to do anything that he wants within the bounds of law of this country. We're all law-abiding citizens. And before I did this live, I just thought to myself, I'm not gonna reply to this. I'm not gonna say anything. But I saved his radio career. If he hadn't gotten into Century 106 or had been binned at that point, who knows where he would have went. He talks about being in showbiz for 30 years. He was playing old folks' homes. He was going into old folks' homes and plinky-plonky on the piano. Now, lovely for the old folks, because he knew all their songs. Ish. But that's what he was doing before and during his time at Century 106. Now, I'm not decrying that, because I'm sure the old birds and the old fellas just loved somebody going in and singing to them. Fantastic. Morale's not great in old folks' homes, but Alex going in and playing the piano and playing them some decent songs. I will say this. Thank you, Terry. Unfortunately, he has intimated stuff about a certain judge's wife on social media. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. But that's why I say the people around him, they need to get their arm around him. They need to get him some support, because this is only within a couple of weeks. He's as mad as hell, and he's not going to take it anymore, to use the quote from the film Broadcast. Was it Broadcast? Yeah, nuts and bolts. It takes years to become an overnight success. I accept that. But he just has to make one mistake and he's back in clink for 3 years. And you can't, in my view, as an older man, I've lived a bit of life, I've seen some horrible things, but I kind of understand. I get human beings and I get life. And primarily, I've told you this before, because of my late night phone-in experience, my lunchtime phone-in experience all around the country. I've done phone-ins from Edinburgh down to LBC in London, to Real Radio in Wales, to the Century in East Midlands, North East, North West. I've done phone-ins and interacted and engaged with other human beings for 40 years. Les Griffith says, you can be sure not police are monitoring him very closely. Well, he's got MAPA, hasn't he? Which is multi-agency public protection. So he's got MAPA orders on him. They're all watching him. And it's a mere folly, in my view, that you kind of go, oh, they want me done, they want me dead, they want me this, they want me that. No, they don't. But a psychologist will tell you, and this goes for any human being, you and I included, when we talk about stuff, we're actually talking about ourselves. So when you say that they want me, look, I've had close friends, very close friends, decide that they didn't want to be in this life anymore. And there's many a time I sit and think, if only I'd done this, or if only I'd done that. I don't want to see any harm come to the convicted stalker in any way, shape or form. But he's got life-changing money in the bank. And the other thing that I don't understand, the license is for 3 years, is for the rest of his term. I don't know whether he's got a tag on him, or I don't know the detail of that license. But he's released on license for 3 years. He just has to wait until that's spent. He can go and do whatever he wants. He can't travel, but he can wait 3 years. But when you feel persecuted, and I believe he's got a massive persecution complex, just in my view, I'm not an expert, I'm not somebody who's trained in it, but I can just look at human beings and understand it. The one thing I will never forgive him for was what was that about? Tablock Tracy, welcome to the body of the Kirk. Hang on, where's it gone? Just bear with me a second, because every time I'm scrolling up, it's making me go down, so to speak. Terry Wookfit says he can travel, just not to his favourite haunts like Vegas. He can still go to Thailand, though. Well, that's where they all go. Ask Gary Glitter and Mark Page. In fact, Mark Page is worse than Gary Glitter, in my view. Mephistopheles, that's made me laugh. You're wrong. So what was the point I was going to make? You have to bear with me tonight. So the point that I was making was he's restricted for 3 years, and then the conviction is spent. Done, finished, over. And he's still a young guy. What, 45? Jesus, he's possibly got another 40 or 50 years left. So he's got double again. He can the money he's got, he doesn't really have to work, because he's got enough money. I'm not going to stick my neck out there and guess, because I don't know the exact amount. But when you're telling people one thing, donate for this, and then this isn't a thing at all, it turns out that wanting his day in court with the BBC, I'm going to sue the BBC, I'm going to sue Nottinghamshire Police. No. So all the money went in there. And as I've said before, people who want to donate, donate. People who want to buy tickets to go and see him, brilliant. People that want to buy tickets to go and see him and Katie do 2 Gobshites live in 2026, fill your boots. But according to, was it History Debunked? Somebody pointed me towards this. I don't know how History Debunked knows this, but he gave this information as a statement of fact, that for one of the Convicted Stalker's shows, the ticket was £495. Now, 2 things here. One, I am a tight-arse northerner. 495 quid. 1 person, 1 show. Although, you got a hotel, and you got a meal, and you got... Look, I'd be wanting to shag the barmaids for 495 quid as a dessert for the meal. But, look, if people are willing to pay it, then so be it. But he can't at the moment because he's under license. So for the moment, I think he's on a weekly with probation. So they'll do that for the first month or so. Hang on. Yeah, I know, Terry. That was for some soiree with hotel room and meals and shit. So that's what I was going to say. If you are asking for money for a particular reason, and that reason doesn't actually exist, just refund the money. Don't take it and then say I'm going to donate some to charity, because it's not your money to donate to charity. There's still a lot going on, and I don't understand why he would do this. I mean, maybe, in my view, no, that would be unfair. And as I said at the beginning of this live, I was going to be measured. So if any of these teams watching, and I know there's a load of bots, Nicholas, the Donald will let him in. The Donald won't have any choice. It's over 5 years. They have rules. And I will tell you this for sure, because I'm talking to people in the radio industry. They won't touch him with a barge pole. So gone are the days where he could speak to people at certain hotels in Vegas and say, I'm coming across, I'm going to make a program for the BBC, and I'll promote your hotel and Vegas and stuff. He can't do that. I think the BBC is going to touch him now. So he's lost all of that. He thinks he can go and do stuff on YouTube. Good luck. But I wonder how MAPA and the other agencies that are monitoring what he is doing, because the basis is this: he's a convicted stalker. There is a law in place. Was it 2019? There's a law in place. So it's illegal to do what he did, and that's why he was jailed. So we need to work from that. He can't then duck behind a paywall and say, oh yeah, you can have it for £1 or a tenner or 20 quid a month or whatever, and I'll do the phoning from behind the paywall. That is fraught with danger, because he's obviously wanting to say stuff that he doesn't want the authorities to know. And the authorities are not stupid. Look, this is life, and I'll get to some of the other stuff in a minute. I just want to round this off. I forgot what I was going to say now. Come on, Adrian. Yes. The people that run us, and they don't adhere to laws. They're too wealthy. Oh, thank you, Dean. Let me just park that for a second, and let me just make a note, so I don't forget it. Blimey. There was that, and what was it? Yes, so the people that run us, we're just the breeders. We're just cannon fodder. They don't care about us. They don't care whether we live or die. And Control Alt Delete. I know, and he blocked me. So I'll reply to your stuff in just a little while, because I know that you have been a regular to this channel, and I worked out that you didn't mean any harm, but you spooked him big time. So the people that are making these decisions, they are beyond reproach. They are beyond the law. They are beyond having any financial woes. They're not like us. They're not working men and women. They don't have integrity straight up and down. They're shagging kids, adrenochrome. They're throwing countries to the wolves, and they're skimming off money left, right, and centre from all the wars around the country, around the world. These wars are bankers' wars. So the people that are making these decisions are at the top of the food chain, and anybody, you or I, or even the convicted stalker, the Jimmy Savile of trolling, he's not able to fight this power because he has no comprehension of that power. You and I don't either. I mean, look at, say there was a head of a country who was shagging rent boys, or a head of a country that was doing a whole load of nosebag, or Charlie, and still kept their job. Because the people at the top of that particular food chain, they're all doing it. I mean, I am going to start and call the House of Commons, that's completely unrelated to what I've just said, but I am going to call it the House of Ozempic. Because they're all on it. Fat Lammy's band, you just keep watching. That boy is going to have dramatic weight loss evident to your peepers very, very soon. How would that do? Been for his shit. So the powers that are making these decisions are beyond reproach. You can't fight them. You can't take them on. The judicial system, it's a folly for rich people. It's not about upholding the law. It's not about doing the right thing. The sharks, barristers and lawyers, they're not there to uphold the law and to do the right thing. They're there to make fucking money. Why do you think the MPs are in the House of Parliament? House of Ozempic. Why? Because they're there to skim money off the top. Your taxes go into a common pot. They fling it across to somewhere abroad, an NGO, non-governmental organisation abroad, and then it comes back to this country and into the pockets of the politicians. The grift's really easy, but they confuse you and divert your attention by shit in the media. So this is a pointless task, taking on the system, because the system always wins. If you look at some of the notables around at the moment, Stephen Yaxley Lennon, hide inside prison. Brilliant, Control Alt Delete, thank you. So Stephen Yaxley Lennon goes into prison. The system, you don't win. The deep state, you don't win. The military-industrial complex, you don't win. If they decide that your kids are going to war, you're fucked. Except when, queer as folk, Keir Starmer, we're going to put boots on the ground. We look forward to Sir Keir Starmer's children, who are now of an age where they can enlist in the army or the military forces. And they reckon there's going to be shit in this country. This is planned. It's not chaos. It's planned. So don't take that kind of power on, because you'll never win. And all that happens is you just kind of give it that jaw. So I offer his team this opportunity, all of them, to watch every single video I've made. Because all my videos are my personal view, my lived experience. And also, I've talked law. And you can't get round the law. I just hope that he stays out. But 3 years, whoa, that's a long time. And what I've seen in the last fortnight, from what people have sent me. So what can I forgive him for? So in 2002, I wanted to, so presenters, radio presenters, get like, it's called a demo tape. Put a demo tape together, and you send it out to the radio stations, and they kind of go, oh, right, yeah, I know him. Right, okay, like his voice. Yeah, okay, does phone-ins and music and stuff. And then they'll give you a call. It's like a CV, but for radio. If it's telly or showbiz, then you have a show reel. But in radio, it's just a demo. And he came across to my house in Nottinghamshire. And I got a Chinese in. I got a takeaway in from the village. And he said, right, just give me bits and pieces and I'll put it together for you. And then he said, what about your jingles that you used on, have you got them? I said, yeah, somewhere. Why, are you going to use them in the demo? He said, well, I'll have a look at them. He took them away. I think I might still have them somewhere. I might play them for you on another. Oh, by the way, I've got a lead to go from my Rodecaster Pro into my phone. So these lives may change. I may be able to play stuff in these lives. And he took them away. And then a few years later, I hear my jingles, but made for him. And it freaked me the fuck out. It's like Single White Female. Does he want to be me? Why would he do that? He's betrayed my trust. He said to me, I mean, we did the demo together and I sent it out, didn't really get me any jobs, but it was these jingles that had been made for Century 106 and he wanted a copy. And what he did was, once he had a copy, he copied them exactly and made them about him. And that has no integrity whatsoever. But as I say, if you don't know the film Single White Female, so Sun Effects, Carts, Bad Wolf Project, wow. Remember those. So I can't forgive him for that. Because again, he betrayed my trust. But he's got this. He's a very complex man, but he's a very broken man. And I don't want to see any harm come to him. Because there is every chance he'll end up back inside. Hoist by his own petard. Nobody has to do anything. He's being monitored. And that's why I presume that his weekly meeting with probation, certainly for the first month, because sometimes the system likes you to go into a hostel, and I doubt he's gone into a hostel. He's probably gone straight home. But as I've said and set out earlier, he's a self-confessed liar. I don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. His audience can. Look, his audience is his audience. Jane Psychic, I agree with you. He's not the same man he was before he went in. He's struggling by the looks of it. And I don't want that for him. But, you know, he's created so many victims in the outside world. He believes that he is entitled to every right to do whatever he wants to do. No, that's not how society works. A fully functioning society, a well-ordered society, that's not the way it works. I believe, from a very young age. I mean, he was a choir master at 13 or 14, a really young age. So he's obviously talented, and as far as radio is concerned, he loves it with a passion. He just wants to be seen as one of the great phone-in guys, and he's not. He's not. It takes a very different character, and he hasn't got empathy or compassion. He can try as much as he wants. And that's my experience of him. Evening Retro. So, he is the, to see Retro and his bikes in the body of the Kirk this evening. The convicted stalker, the Jimmy Savile of trolling, is, and he's got the press on his back now. I understand that Nottinghamshire Evening Post are monitoring him. I understand that the Guardian have written stuff about him. The Times have written stuff about him. This is not, you can't say infamy, infamy. They've all got it infamy. Because the evidence is, it was a court of law. So it doesn't matter how much you try and control a narrative. We all know now because we've seen the court papers. We know what the judge decided and why. And then the top of the food chain came out when there was a possibility that the convicted stalker was going to appeal the sentence. And he was told by the very top of the judiciary, do not attempt to try and appeal your sentence because the judge got it wrong. And if you appeal your sentence, we'll just add more years onto your sentence. He was told by the top of the food chain. But for some inexplicable reason, I know that his, to use demographics, this audience is very, very intelligent. My audience is very intelligent, possibly middle class, ABC ones. That's not the convicted stalker's audience. The convicted stalker's audience is C2DE. The place where I came from, council estates. That's why they love him, because they don't understand the world. They don't get what the world does and how it functions. And they'll vote for fucking Keir Starmer to put him as Prime Minister. I was telling people for over a year before he was elected, Keir Starmer, is he scaring you yet? And everybody just laughed. But like the Donald, I'm putting stuff out months and years before it comes true. Why? Because then you get that I understand life and what goes on. Because when he got in and started doing all that stuff, and then Southport, and people were like, oh, I remember you saying, is he scaring you? Yeah, he was definitely scaring me now. Now everybody's laughing at him, which is the only thing that we should be doing at him. Because we've seen him for what he is. That's Sir Keir Starmer. Two-tier, Keir. Free gear, Keir. Free Arsenal tickets, Keir. 100 grand a year of freebies, Keir Starmer. Fun Boy 3, 4 tops, Starmer. If this is the first time that you've watched this particular live, you really needed to watch a couple of weeks ago. Les Griffith says, I came from a council estate. I knew many good, intelligent people, but I also saw the other end of the scale. And that's life, Les. As I say, people that come here, ABC ones mainly, but his audience, and I'm not decrying that at all, but you just cut your cloth accordingly. C2DEs. Yeah, I believe Keir Starmer likes the back door, because that's what he's done with getting us back into Europe. He's taken us in via the back door. Not a first. Hey, Keir. So I'm going to give you an insight into what is going on in the world right now, right here, and you need to grasp this. And it's really easy. It's really simple. So you know all the bullshit you see in the papers. I've said a million times on these lives. Don't believe anything you read in the newspapers, because the only thing they don't get wrong is the price on the front. So I've been telling you for 2.5 years, there were 7 central banks that the Rothschilds don't own. And once you control the money, you control the world. So I told you for 2.5 years that what they're going to do is they're going to pick some of them off. Now, Iran is a very wealthy, very powerful country. So there's 90-odd million Iranians. There's only 8,000 Jews in Iran. But Israel, and they're going to have to start answer questions now. Israel have only got 9.5 million, and tons of them are Arabs. But I said to you, these 7 countries, and you need to remember these 7 countries, because this will give you the news cycle for the next 5 or 10 years. So there were 7 countries that the Rothschilds wanted to own, or want to own, the central banks of the world. They own the Fed in America, because that's not a public-owned company. They own the Bank of England, because that's a private company. Has bugger all to do with the government. Has bugger all to do with me and you. They want the central bank of Venezuela. Keep seeing Venezuela in the news. They want the central bank of Hungary. Keep seeing the spat between Europe and Hungary telling the Europeans to fuck off. Spencer, I agree with you. I'm surprised newspapers still exist, to be honest. So there's the 7. Venezuela, Hungary. Here's where it gets interesting. Syria. Iran. North Korea, Russia, China. Have I missed anybody out? Hang on a second. Venezuela, Hungary, North Korea, Russia, China, Syria, Iran. North Korea. I think I missed North Korea. So Syria went, by the way, a couple of years ago. So the Rothschilds now control the central bank of Syria. And the central bank of Iran was frozen 2 weeks ago. And that's what they're after. They are a kick in the bollocks away from owning the central bank of Iran. And look, Iran has, I think it's the second most gas reserves and the third most oil reserves of any country anywhere on planet Earth. So when you're seeing all of this, it's going to be World War III, is it bollocks? It's fear porn. They're injecting you with a fear porn because you do as you're told. Well, if you're scared, you'll do as you're told. And by the way, we're going to put boots on the ground and there may be some fighting in this country. Oh, we know what the fighting's going to be, but it's not going to be World War III. Easy to see that. There's Griffiths. The God Emperor is quietly dismantling the Fed. I know. They just keep printing dollars. So if you keep those central banks, anything that you see in the newspapers, you will be able to see through what's going on, and it is as simple as this. And look, don't believe me if you don't want. I'm never wrong. Because it's easy to see through this bullshit. And digital ID, says Stephen Hall. Yeah, absolutely. So when you've got former members of parliament, former PMs, having a bun fight over trying to run the digital ID system that they're going to bring into this country, who says we want this? And I've said to you before, and remember this simple maxim, they give you a solution to a problem you never knew you had. So digital ID, it's everywhere, man. It's everywhere. Yeah, we've got, your national insurance number and your driving license number and your passport number, and we've got all of this stuff. So what we're going to do, we're going to take all of that, and then we're going to put it into one reference, a digital ID. But what's coming is if you don't play ball, once you've got your digital ID, and they're going to threaten you with it. I mean, you took the jab. Jesus. What? Because you thought you were doing the right thing. What do you want? Do you want a barcode or something on the back of your neck? So what they're going to do is they're going to offer you a solution. And the solution's going to be, we're going to stop all the migrants coming in. Yeah, Reform are going to be at it. Look, the political classes, or parasitical classes as I call them, they just want power. They don't care whether you live or die. They don't care about your kids or your grandkids. They don't care. They don't care whether you've got a nice home. They don't care whether you live somewhere nice. Because remember, when you cark it, BlackRock's going to buy your house. And BlackRock are pumping billions into this country. If you wanted to know why Larry Fink, chief exec of BlackRock, and Bill Gates, one of the most evil men on planet Earth. In fact, you could say he's one of the most evil men in the universe, because there's not many of us outside of planet Earth. They just want to buy all the housing stock, because once you've got the digital ID and they bring that in, they can move you to wherever they want and have you do whatever they want. If you don't do as you are told, they're going to say, well, we're going to stop paying you. No, your credit card won't work, or your debit card won't work, because they'll control the banks. And, well, you said something bad about Sir Keir Starmer, saying he likes it. No, Adrian, no. Well, he's a backdoor man. Sure, he's never worked at a supermarket, but because that is a genuine job at a supermarket, the backdoor man. Say you say something funny about one of the politicians. If they take umbrage, I say that was most uncalled for. You won't be able to do anything. You won't be able to travel. You won't be able to do anything. You won't be able to eat. Can't buy food. They want to kill you all off. I've told you about the Georgia Guidestones. Population of less than 500 million. That's what they're going to get us down to, and they've got to get us down somehow. So they're going to kill everybody off. Doom and gloom. Crack a gag, Adrian. Fuck off. Oh yeah, Bad Wolf Project. Use a gentle reminder that certain large UK grocery chains have been known to monetize customer loyalty data to the tune of over 300 million. Privacy, clearly, isn't on special offer. Was that Tesco's by any chance? So, let me just have a quick look at my notes. I'm going to give you some insight. You know this argument that's going on within the BBC, this BBC fallout, BBC Breakfast. Nagamunchetti, seemingly, I've got to be very careful how I verse this, but it's all kicking off. BBC Breakfast. I mean, can you remember when Eamon Holmes called, is it Fiona Phillips? Not Fiona Phillips, who was it? He called her Princess Tippy Toes. They're all egos in telly, massive egos. But I will tell you that the boss that they're talking about is a guy called Richard Frediani. Now, I know Richard very well because we broke, remember in 1990, Desert Storm? I was working at Rock FM in Preston at the time. And Richard was doing kind of the late shift in the newsroom. I think he went on to be news editor there. Wasn't at the time, it's just a journo. But Fredo, as he was known in the building, fantastic guy, lovely guy. And I'm reading this stuff in the newspapers thinking, that's sort of bollocks. That's not Richard Frediani. That's not the Richard Frediani that I know. Lovely guy, nice guy. Mum and dad owned a fish and chip shop in centre of Preston, I think. But Richard Frediani, nice guy. But there's bile and viciousness in the newspapers about him, and you just think, what the hell would you want that for? So I had a great time working with Richard at Rock FM many moons ago. I mean, Desert Storm's now, 35 years ago. Okay, got it. I don't think Starmer is long for this political world. Anthea Turner, thank you, Gene Psychic. Thunderbirds. Neil Cunningham, Richard Frediani, a great guy. Yeah, fabulous bloke to work with. Fabulous. I think we're around tonight's live off. I was only going to do 60 minutes, and we've overstepped that particular mark. Hang on, I just need to press a couple of things. Wisdom T. Kirk, no. Real Radio wasn't the early 2000s. It launched in October 2000, and I was part of the launch team, so I know. No, I don't have COVID. It's a response to my diabetes. I'm type 2 diabetic. Just haven't been looking after myself. That's all. But we've, along with the NHS and my doctor and my darling wife, Nurse Ratchet, we've got it under control. So I want... no, I'll round it off now. I think enough is enough. I know a lot of new people came into the body of the Kirk this evening just to see what was going on. I believe I've been very measured. I've been very fair. And I have the receipts. I know when someone's lying. I know when it's a lie. I know when it's a self-confessed lie. Because, what's the old saying? A lie can go round the world twice before the truth has got its boots on. And I'm thankful that I've got this right of reply on YouTube, because if I didn't, can you imagine? People could say anything. Ghetto defendant, biometrics is a key part of this digital plan. It's the foothills of the future, including genetic mapping. I know, and getting our DNA. I mean, I'm really hesitant about allowing the NHS to take bloods, because they'll just have a massive DNA of everybody in the country. We don't know what's going on in the background, but it's our taxes that's funding it all. And that's Tony Blair. Oh, I'll do digital ID. No, you won't. Go off. Paulie Galtieri, you're very kind. You're utter wrong. Tower Block Tracy, would you like me to come over and tuck you in for... What the bloody hell's that? Did you hear that? I swear there must have been a dog at my right foot. Thank you, Tower Block Tracy. I was going to talk about Glastonbury, because Glastonbury is so shit this year. I literally would be demanding me money back. Anyway, we'll save that possibly for Sunday. If I fail up to it over the next couple of days, I will do other stuff for you. There is other stuff coming, but thank you for just indulging me the last few days. I've been very, very, very poorly and in a lot of pain. It seems to be abating today, so that's why I've come on and done the live tonight. What was I going to say? No, we'll leave Glastonbury. I mean, we can talk about it Sunday night. I mean, they've got somebody on the main stage I've never heard of. She's shit. They've got Rod Stewart. Fucking hell, he's older than God, Rod Stewart. Love to hear his Brit Eklund stories, though. Poltergeist. Bye. Fatal Racing Driver. Bye. So thank you to everyone that's indulged me the last couple of days. I really appreciate it. But I just felt I had to, A, have a right of reply, come on and talk to you truthfully, with integrity, and just tell you the truth, because I worry. I worry for him. So thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all, your indulgence. Yeah, wrongin'. Wherever you go, whatever you do, please be well, stay safe. Don't forget the Battenberg for the newbies. We like a bit of Battenberg in this body of the Kirk, and I will tell you the story. I'll tell you the story on Sunday if you're a first timer tonight. 8 o'clock Sunday, I'll tell you the Battenberg story, and you won't believe what I'm going to tell you. BBC presenter, and how can I say this? Just make sure you don't eat before I tell you. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for your very kind words. And thank you for the well-attended live tonight. I was going to tell you something else, but I'm tired now, so I'm going to go to my bed and rest and look after myself. Look after yourself. I'll see you Sunday, 8 o'clock. Been a blast tonight.